start with declarations of interest, please. Have we any declarations? Have we any declarations of interest? No.
No declarations of interest.
Any urgent items?
No.
The rest of you will be aware of and would have read items 3 and 4. Mobile phones, if you please make sure you haven't got any background noise to distract us. Thank you. This meeting is being live streamed. Public participation. Members of the public will be given an opportunity to address on any agenda item. Do we have any members of the public joining us?
Yes, you have one member of the public who has joined you.
Yes, I see that is Margaret Swift. Can we ask whether Margaret Swift wishes to speak on any agenda item?
Yes, please. I think it's an agenda item.
Right. Well, if it isn't, we can.
You'll have to tell me.
So which item do you want to speak on?
The seawall.
Is that on our agenda?
No idea. I've not got the agenda.
The seawall is not on your agenda, Chairman.
No, it isn't. It isn't on our agenda this evening.
Oh dear.
So I'm afraid you can't speak on that. Right. Apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, we have Councillor Woods.
And I see Councillor Taylor has joined us, so that's good. Any declarations of interest, please? Right, I would ask, by the way, that we show hands when you want to speak or when you want to vote on something. And the clerk has confirmed that we're live. We've got one guest councillor with us this evening, Councillor Petherick.
Chairman, you have two guest councillors. Both Councillor Pethericks are not on the normal committee.
Oh, I didn't see. Yes, we've got two councillors. Yes, Councillor John Petherick and Councillor Linda Petherick. Right, so minutes. Everyone's received the minutes. Have you read them? Are you happy with them? Are you agreeable that we accept them? Would you like to speak, Councillor Prowse?
I was only going to second you and agree.
Show of hands, please, in favour of adopting the minutes. Thank you. That's unanimous. Next item, projects report. I would just say that the main purpose of this meeting is an update on all our projects and ongoing civic amenities matters. Really, because we haven't had a proper meeting since February, so this is just to get us up to date. And you would appreciate that not many things have been able to progress because of the COVID-19 situation. However, the projects officer has sent you out a very comprehensive report for you to note all the updates. I take it that you've all read this. Are you happy with it? Are you agreeable to note this as read? Show of hands, please. That's carried, thank you. The next item is the catenary lighting. Project officer had to deal with a minor repair to this during lockdown. So this, as you'll see from the paper, which you have also read and understood, that it's to approve the additional cost. Is anyone willing to propose that we approve that? Councillor Prowse and Councillor Lisa Main seconded, is that correct? Everyone in favour, please, of approving that expenditure? Thank you. The next item is the notice boards. Again, you have had a very nice illustration circulated. The proposed notice boards. Yes.
Sorry to interject. I think Angie will link. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Trees.
You missed item 7, Chair.
I beg your pardon. It's item 7. I missed. Trees in Manor House Gardens. Again, this is another report which has gone out. I'm sure you've all read it. It concerns matters which we asked Timbridge to carry out and things for which we asked permission to carry out ourselves. Projects Officer Angie, would you like to add anything to this?
Thank you, Chair. No, I think it's where we are currently in terms of the actions and the actions to be completed.
Thank you. Obviously, we all understand that some of the items on the list can't be actioned at the moment. For example, schools aren't back. So you would appreciate that. And thank you for all the work that's gone into this, Angie. So are we happy that we note this report? Is everyone agreed that it's noted?
A proposer?
Anyone wish to propose that we note it? Ros, seconded. Mary Lowther. Everyone agree that we note this report? Thank you. Sorry, now I get on to item 8, notice boards. These, as you will know from what has been circulated, are replacements for the very old pictures on the 2 large public notice boards in the lawn. I know there's a lot of work that's gone into this. If you have any comments or you'd like anything different, would anyone like to speak about this? Gary. Sorry, Councillor Taylor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, I see that there's a consideration that we drop the Latin names. I rather think it would be good to include those still. I think it's good to have them.
Mm-hmm. Well, does anybody else have anything against those, or are you in favour of what this proposal that they retain the Latin names? Alison, would you like to propose something, or do you wish to speak? I think she's...
Yes, I support Councillor Taylor's suggestion that we keep the Latin names, and I think the illustration of it looks really good. So thank you.
Would anyone else, before we vote on that, would anyone else like to make any comments? I know that the projects officer is willing to accept any comments by email by Monday morning, if you think of something afterwards, if you'd like to pass any comments. Yes, Councillor Dawson.
I just wanted to suggest whether or not there might be room, although it's chocker with information, it looks great, whether there might be room to have one of those scan things, I don't know what they're called, that links to the sponsorship page. Thank you. That links to the sponsorship page for filling out a form to sponsor waterfowl or whatever.
So would you like that to be an amendment for us to vote on first?
No, I'm just saying generally comments.
General comment, okay. And was yours a proposal, Councillor Taylor, or it's just a comment to add?
It's a proposal that, if you like, if we keep the Latin names, happy to note the report.
Right.
And,
anyone else wish to say anything?
amend. If there hasn't been a motion to keep the names, but the suggestion was that we remove them. So with the suggestion that we don't remove the names, I'd like to note the report. Right.
Councillor Wrigley, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just querying the two numbers, because we've got the office number, and we've also got a mobile number. Sorry, I haven't got a very big version of the picture here, so I'm just sort of struggling to see what's on there. I was just wondering whether it was worthwhile saying, since we're talking about the waterfowl wardens immediately above the mobile number, to say ring the warden on this number.
Can I ask, Project Officer, the mobile number, is that the one for the waterfowl wardens?
Yes, Chair, it is.
It just needs perhaps better indicating. Okay, we have a proposal that you retain the Latin names, and how do we deal with the suggestion about the motif for the telephone users?
I think you could just incorporate that. It's an amendment to the motion, and so therefore, if Councillor Taylor is going to propose the Latin names, and then if that includes the QR codes, they could vote on it to approve it with those. I think that would be correct.
To include that with the proposal. Are you happy with that, Councillor Taylor? And is there a seconder for that, please? Councillor Foden. Everyone in favour of that, please?
Sorry, Chair. Before we go to the vote, could I just ask a couple of questions?
Mm-hmm.
There's a consideration as to whether the wording should be at the bottom or the right-hand side in the report.
Mm.
Can I ask what the logic behind the two choices is on that?
The graphic design came through with it on the right-hand side. After initial consultation with the chair and with the town clerk, a suggestion was made it might be better at the bottom, and therefore it was just decided to say to the committee what if there was a preference, but it was felt in the initial design that it might be clear on the right-hand side, but I'm conscious that comment was made.
Okay, sorry, thank you. So are we? So those amendments. Are any of the amendments proposed in the report being taken with this vote, or is it being taken without these amendments?
I think the hope would be, Chair, that they would be proposed with the amendments, but obviously there has been a change to the Latin names in terms of what's there, and the picture has been circulated with obviously in advance of the meeting. Chair.
Yes. So is that another amendment? Have you a preference for that, Councillor Wrigley?
No, I'm just trying to be clear upon what we're voting on as to whether these amendments listed were. And personally, I think the text looks better on the right-hand side as it's laid out than it would on the bottom. But it's only it's a personal preference. I have no strong feeling either way.
Councillor Prowse.
Can I suggest, Chair, that we take it with the amendments as you actually asked for us to consider it? The wording actually is consider it, just amendments to the current design are proposed. So can we just take it all together?
Well, we first have to vote on the proposals already made, I believe.
That is the proposal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So add in the minutes, in the agenda. So shall I propose from the chair?
You've already had a proposal from
Councillor
Taylor about the Latin names, which is an amendment to the proposal that is in the paper.
And that was plus the, I don't know the name for the technical thing.
So you've already got a proposal from Councillor Taylor, and I think you asked for a seconder as well, which was Councillor.
I did.
I think the town clerk would like to intervene, Chair.
Yes, Andrew.
Not so much an intervention, but hopefully a suggestion. Maybe just for clarity, it might be easier to take each point in turn and vote specifically on each of them, just for clarity.
Right. Which I actually don't have in front of me at the moment, and I can't share my screen. Could you take us through that, please, Angie?
The first amendment was to remove those waterfowl who are no longer current and replace with others. That's the first one in the proposal.
Has anyone got anything to say about that, Councillor Prowse?
No, I was just going to accept it.
Okay. So is everyone in agreement that we accept that amendment? Yes? Could you raise your hands, please? Thank you. Yes. Next item.
Chair, the second one was to add a disclaimer that the waterfowl would be changing over time. This was suggested by the waterfowl warden, as some obviously are deceased and replaced over time.
Is everyone in agreement with that? That we accept that as listed? Thank you, yes.
The third, Chair, was that the 4 pictures which are in boxes to be in the same format as the other waterfowl on the graphic design.
Just for clarity, so that's removing the other background from those 4 where you've got the grass or the rocks, as opposed to having them just straightforward on the picture.
Yes, Chair, it was felt that there would be more consistent if they all looked the same rather than 4 just stuck out at random.
Is everyone happy to accept that amendment? Show of hands. Lovely, thank you. Next.
The fourth amendment to the design as proposed in the paper was to consider whether the wording should be at the bottom as opposed to the right-hand side of the display.
Anyone like to speak on that?
I think I like the design as it is, with the writing on the right-hand side. I think it's cleaner. I think it'll give more view, especially if you've got small children. The last thing you want to give the smaller children is a block of writing at the bottom. You want to give them a picture they can look at in their face.
Anyone else wish to say anything on that? Councillor Taylor?
Second that amendment.
Right, so we take a proposal on that, please. Everyone in favour of keeping the writing on the right-hand side as in the published amendment? A show of hands, please. Thank you. Now we've still got a proposal on the table, 2 proposals. One is to retain the Latin names. I think that was Councillor Taylor.
Yes.
And seconded by Councillor Foden. Will those in favour raise their hands, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Unanimous, thank you. And the amendment, rather a second proposal, I've got a bit mixed up here. Can we take it as a second proposal that we add the link to the telephones, please? And that's seconded by Councillor Taylor. Proposed by Councillor Dawson, seconded by Councillor Taylor. Everyone in favour of that, please, hands. Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you very much. Sorry I got that in a pickle. Right, we'll move on to item 9 on the agenda. Again, this is a report to be noted. A very nice report and nice little bits of good news in it at such a sad time. I'm sure you've all read it, and I would like you to just raise your hands if you're happy to note this report.
Chair, before we go into the vote, can I say something, please?
Oh, certainly.
I'd like to express, I think we should express our thanks to the waterfowl wardens who have been working diligently through this entire time and going out and helping the wee poor beasties on the water and doing all the things that they do. And I think they've done a fantastic job keeping them all going. And I think we should I'd like to ask that we can give them a vote of thanks.
Yes, so that's a proposal for a formal vote of thanks to the waterfowl wardens, seconded by Councillor Prowse.
Chair, you also have Councillor Taylor to speak after Councillor Prowse.
Oh, sorry, I'm missing.
Councillor Prowse was first and then Councillor Taylor.
Councillor Prowse, you wish to speak? You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I would like to second that and to say that as chairman of staffing, we very much appreciate the amount of work that's been done down on the lawn by Don and the waterfowl warden, who has unfortunately had to shield some of the time.
All right. Before we vote on the proposal, Councillor Taylor, you wish to say something?
I would have been happy to have seconded, but certainly I support what's been said. I think they've worked very hard to to keep everything ticking along. We've had some gains and some losses, as we always do with our waterfowl this year, and the loss of one of our old stagers, which was a great shame. But anyway, we've got lots and lots of new chicks coming along, and certainly seeing the young swans today in the brook, it really was good. So an excellent report.
Right, so we have a proposal from Councillor Wrigley, seconded by Councillor Prowse, that we make a formal vote of thanks to the outside services for all their work during this very, very difficult time. Everyone in favour? Hands, please. Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to item 10, Brownsbrook allotments. Again, this is...
Can I, sorry to intervene?
Yes.
Obviously you voted for the thanks, but can you vote to just note the report?
Oh, sorry, yes. Again, it's one of these beautifully produced reports. We need to note it. Can you raise hands if you are happy to note this report, please? Thank you. Passing on to item 10, Brownsbrook allotments. Again, this is a note. I would just update you that work was undertaken by the working group, which was formed before lockdown, and various notes and recommendations have been passed in to the Office for the Clerk to assess, and with luck this will be brought now before the CAC in September for any necessary actions. So can you raise your hands if you are happy to note this item, please? Thank you. Item 11, the War Memorial. There is some minor damage to some lettering. You will have seen the photographs and the notes sent out by our projects officer. I know that this has been reported to the office and it's in hand. So again, what we're asking is that you just note this report. Can you raise your hands that you accept and note the report, please?
May I ask?
Yes, Councillor Wrigley.
So clearly we have to put the lettering back and put it right and make it all right. I presume that is in hand and is happening, because it doesn't say that we're actually taking action to fix it.
It was only reported a couple of days ago, and I know that it is being followed up. It's simply a matter of the paint which delineates the numbers. The numbers are actually inscribed into the stone, but it's the paint which is coming off some of them. And I'm sure the projects officer would confirm.
Yeah, yes, Chair. We are contacting the monumental mason to actually do the work, and with the expectation or hope that it will be completed by the VJ Day commemorations in the Memorial Gardens.
Thank
you. That would be wonderful if that can be achieved.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So are there any other comments anyone would like to? Sorry? Councillor Wrigley?
I said fantastic. Thank you very much.
So unless there are any other comments on that, we can note that as well. Is everyone happy to note that report? Thank you. We come on to item 12. This is to consider a proposal. This is about a street art competition proposed by Councillor Foden. This is an item which was deferred from the full Town Council meeting, where they were overrunning in time. You have also got details of this which have been sent out to you, and which I believe that you have read and understood. So would anyone like to speak on this matter? We must adjourn just for a moment or two. One of our councillors has left the screen. If you'll bear with me.
No, Councillor Lowther. I believe we just carry on. You are quorate, and I think Councillor Lowther is now returning.
I'm just going by what I was told in the webinar, that's all. Right, Councillor Lowther is back. Would anyone like...
Councillor Foden wishes to speak.
Yes, would, oh, I can't see. Sorry, Councillor Foden. Yes.
Thank you. So I had the idea for this street art project back in June. I really wanted to do something for young people. And when I was out cleaning some offensive graffiti up at Lee Mount, I thought that a street art project would be a really good way to offer something back to our young people in the parish. I feel that they must feel that they're forgotten about and very disenfranchised during all this crisis and lockdown, with their exams being cancelled, colleges closed, and so many other bad things happening. So I've been in contact with a professional artist and also a professional CAMS specialist. So they're both used to working with young people. The idea is for a street art competition. We'd put it out on posters around the parish and ask young people in the age categories that are listed in the proposal to send in their ideas on paper into the town council office. Then the artists that are assisting me with this idea, they'd pick out the winners and the best, or, you know, depending on how many entries we receive. And then the idea is that the competition would be in August, and then in September, I'd organise a socially distanced street art event first of all up at the skate park up at Sandy Lane. And the professional artist Jay, has the idea of melding the designs together so everybody's incorporated, everybody's therefore included. And this idea is for young people to own the art, so therefore, because they feel that they had ownership, that they belonged, it wouldn't then get covered in graffiti. So that's my idea.
Councillor Wrigley.
I think it's a great idea, and I think it's good. I was very skeptical the first time we put on the paint jam, but it went down so well and was so impressive. I think this is a really good idea. One of the issues that we've got with the skate park and with the shelters up there is that they are a little bit abandoned, a little bit out of the way, and I think by having this sort of ability to have sort of a street art thing that might become an annual event if it's successful, I think it'd be great to sort of freshen them up, put some colour up there, put some controlled art on it, as opposed to some of the opportunities for the offensive graffiti that we need to clean off all the time. And I think it would be a good thing to do, as long as we've got the artists and the appropriate sort of safeguarding all in place, which it sounds like we have.
Councillor Mary Lowther.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. What is baffling me is the word event has been mentioned several times. We do have an events committee, and I wondered why this hasn't been taken to the events committee instead of being brought directly to CAC. I would just like a reasoning for that.
I would just like to ask one question. Yes, I've seen that, Councillor Wrigley. On the original papers, it mentions places around Boat Cove and the skate park. Councillor Foden, you've just mentioned the skate park. Is that correct? Are you just thinking of the skate park now?
Right, okay, so you'll see in my proposal that it does list the first place as the skate park, but also the footpath shelters up at, it's halfway up Lee Mount, there's a couple of footpath shelters. It's on the path that was used to get to Corrigan Cove until the bridge reopened. The street art that's listed in the proposal at Boat Cove and Corrigan Cove are there as examples of fairly good street art, which has been there for a number of years now. So the project looks at, my proposal looks at, first of all, putting the art up at the skate park, and then putting other winning designs up at the footpath shelter.
Councillor Main.
Chair, I think Councillor Wrigley had indicated.
Councillor Main, I thought first.
Yes.
I've unmuted myself now. I'm a little bit concerned about graffiti. We've just got this seawall open, and all I keep reading on Facebook is it's a target for graffiti. I know you're talking about street art, but some people, street art, graffiti, it goes hand in hand, or they can't tell the difference. When you said it was just at the skate park, I did think, oh, well, actually, that, you know, that's far enough away. That's not too bad. I don't want to make the seawall a target. I don't want to make any of Dawlish a target to graffiti. And that's my concern with this proposal. That's all I'm going to say.
Councillor Wrigley.
Thank you, Chair. Just to answer Councillor Mary Lowther, which is, this was on the agenda for the full council meeting that was overrunning. Because it was overrunning, the suggestion was made that it was pushed to the next appropriate committee, which was this CAC. Had there been an events committee scheduled in this side of September, then that would have been an appropriate one to send it to as well. So it's purely because we have a committee here that we can discuss it with, as opposed to missing it out and pushing it beyond the summer down to September meetings. That's why it's here, because it came from the full council meeting, not because it's avoiding the events committee, because you're right, that would have been a good place to put it. If I may, on the subject of graffiti, we already have a graffiti problem in those various areas anyway. I don't think this is encouraging anybody to make graffiti. I think it is, in fact, doing the opposite. It's trying to engage with a younger generation, trying to make something of the blank walls that are there that would otherwise encourage graffiti, and turn it into a street art rather than just a scroll and offensive graffiti that we have to remove time and time again, which we're currently doing.
I have two here. It was Councillor Prowse first.
Can I say I suspect that Councillor Lowther would like to make a reply in front of what I'm going to say, so I'm quite happy if she wants to speak in front of me. Right,
and I'll return to you. Councillor Lowther.
No, I was just going to, you know, I'm mulling it over. I am not against street art. You know, there's some very good things come out of it. But I suppose my thing is I do like to keep things straight. And I think that this should go to the events committee. They have a budget. If this is agreed tonight, how is it going to get paid? And whose budget is it going to come out of? It will have to go over to F&UP or somewhere like that. And again, if it's going to have the name Dawlish Town Council with it, then it should be coming from the committee that it is involved with, an event. That was all I was going to say.
Councillor Prowse.
Thank you, Chairman. I wasn't going to speak about that. I was just going to say I'm looking at the proposals here. The skate park, as you know, I was a founding father in that and helped raise the money for that. So I know about the skate park. It's had its graffiti during the time. The young people do own it. And well, they appear to own it. In actual fact, Dawlish Town Council own it. We pay a rent, I understand, to Teambridge, so it's for us, the council, to decide who does what there. And I think it would be an excellent place for young people to have a go, as shall we say, and do their street art. I would like to remind councillors that when we opened the new play area, as it was then, down in Coronation Avenue, down the bottom there at 3rd Avenue, we have got a highly qualified, or did have a highly qualified street artist who lived in Dawlish, and he did a great deal of graffiti around there. So those of you who are in the Southwest Ward most probably know all about that. I am not happy with the idea of putting anything in Lee Mount in that way, because I just think down there where there is quite a lot of antisocial behaviour even today, all it would do would, as Councillor Main said, attract graffiti, and there will be alterations to the pictures, which is graffiti. So that area I'm not happy about. But the skate park is for young people and not so young people who wish to have a go on their BMX and their skateboards. I would be very happy about that.
Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Hello, Councillor Dawson.
I just wanted to commend Councillor Foden on putting this together, because I think it's a really important time to engage with young people. We've got 1,581 people in this town aged 10 to 19, and I think this is a great opportunity to really engage with them and show that Town Council haven't forgotten them in this time that's been really tricky for them, looking towards their future and things. So I just wanted to commend her really and give her my support.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Main. Councillor Main?
I'm unmuted now. Just a quick question. Actually, it's to our projects manager. Have you got time to take this on, Angie?
I think.
Have you got enough time to be able to do this?
Any project, there's a time commitment. I would obviously do what the Town Council asked me to do.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Councillor Main? Okay, I would, yes, Andrew.
Chairman, if I can just, on the back of that comment, yes, obviously the office will help where we can, but there is also in the report details from Councillor Foden in that I believe she will be assisting in quite a substantial way, not just in looking for paints, pens, craft cutters and cardboard, but also helping out as well and assisting with us. So, you know, I don't think the burden will completely fall to the office, and especially Angie, which obviously at the moment, you know, there is a lot going on.
Councillor Foden.
Thank you, and Andrew is correct. I do plan to do a lot of the organising and arranging and running around getting the craft materials together myself, and I'm starting to work on that with the professional artists I've already contacted. Thank you.
Councillor Wrigley.
I'd like to propose we go ahead with the project as set out in the report.
Seconder? Oh, right. Councillor Prowse wishes to say something.
I wish to make an amendment to the original proposal that the area in which this takes place is the skate park only. And we can look further in the future, but as far as I'm concerned, it is for the young people of this town, as Councillor Dawson is so very keen to help them. And I must admit, in all the years that I've sat on this council, we have done the very best we can for the young people of this town. The skate park and that area is theirs, and I think they should take control of this and not Corriton Cove, which in actual fact belongs to Teambridge and which we do not have any control over. That is my amendment. Have I gotten a seconder, please?
We haven't seconded the first proposal yet. Could I just make one comment before we vote on the amendment and on the proposal? And that is that the shelters and so forth up in Lee Mount are seen by a lot of residents as a very important part of the World War II history of this town. And I know there are people who would like to see, when work is finished down at Marine Parade, that some of those shelters and gun emplacements become a memorial to the Home Guard of Dawlish. I just wanted to put that in. Right, we have an amendment. So is there a seconder for that amendment?
Chair, if I may, just to say that we've had indications from Councillor Lowther, Councillor Foden and Councillor Wrigley. They wish to speak in that order.
Oh, I haven't seen their hands up. All right.
They did. Three hands went up. Councillor Lowther, Councillor Foden and then Councillor Wrigley.
Councillor Lowther. You're muted.
Oh, lost it.
And she's... Oh, we can't hear. Can I go?
Okay, thank you. I've even now forgot what, I think I was seconding what the proposal, the amendment to the proposal by Councillor Prowse.
Right, should I first hear the other two people who wish to speak, or shall I take the amendment first? I bow to you, Clerk.
I would take the other first and then vote on the amendment.
I thought we did the amendments first.
I defer to the Town Clerk.
Chairman, first of all, I wasn't sure whether the original proposal has been seconded.
Not yet, no. Right, so the first proposal was by you, Councillor Wrigley?
Yes, just a couple of points of clarity. I absolutely agree with you about the World War II shelters on the top of Lee Mount, and if you, some while ago, I did move that as a thing in this council, and we put in a desire to see them done in that way. This is not referring to those World War II shelters. It's referring to the sort of the smoking bench, the one shelter partway up the path. It's not in the World War II items at all. I don't believe that halfway up shelter is part of the World War II stuff. I'm happy to be corrected if it is, but as far as I'm aware, it isn't. And secondly, I was going to ask Councillor Foden if she was happy to accept the amendment to do this at the skate park, to see if we can go forward with a general agreement.
I think I have to ask first if there is a seconder for your original proposal, Councillor Wrigley.
Yes, and without an original proposal being seconded, we can't go anything with the amendment because there's no proposal to amend.
Which was why I was asking if there's a seconder for your original proposal. Is anyone willing to second the original proposal, please? Councillor Dawson. And we have a seconder for the amendment. And the amendment, would you like to repeat your proposed amendment, please?
I would like to hear, before I propose it, Councillor Foden's reply to Councillor Wrigley about it, in which case we might not need to have an amendment.
Thank you. So Councillor Wrigley is correct. The other location is the footpath shelter, which is on the footpath below Lee Mount and the wartime shelters on the top of Lee Mount. It's on the halfway footpath which leads down the steps down to Corriton Cove, and that is the one that is referred to in the proposal. Thank you.
Councillor Lowther.
I just wanted querying whether this is on TDC property.
Lee Mount, I believe, TDC.
Yeah, so therefore, similar idea that Councillor Prowse had. You know, we would be dealing, if we just go with the skate park, for Dawlish. Whereas if we're going into anybody else's property, there's more mixture of responsibilities.
Right. I think I think we need to get this put to bed now, really. We have we have a proposal, we have an amendment.
Chair, if I may just answer Councillor Lowther, because that is addressed in the report, and TDC have been approached through Councillor McGregor, who's the portfolio holder in that area, who has shown an indicative willingness. Clearly it wouldn't go ahead if TDC didn't give permission for it on that shelter.
Right, thank you.
We'll go back to my original amendment, because anything that is outside our remit means that if anything goes wrong, we don't have to pay for it. I am only concerned about what happens in Dawlish.
Yeah.
If you're looking at me like that, Councillor Wrigley, what I'm referring to is the fact that this, if we go onto Teignbridge land and it is painted over, it is for Teignbridge to put it right and not for Dawlish Town Council to put it right. Whereas if things go wrong within Dawlish on property that we own and are responsible for, we, the Town Council, pay for it. My amendment is that the skate park and Red Rock and the area there were originally built to help the young people of this town, as Councillor Dawson, I'm sure, is well aware, with the youth club. So therefore my amendment was that we should take all of this street art to the skate park, and the whole project should come out of the skate park, which we, Dawlish Town Council, are responsible for, so that anything that goes wrong, any damage, it's insured, we know where we are. So that is my amendment, that we only deal with this at the present time. There is nothing to say in the future that we can't go onto Teignbridge land, but we are a Dawlish Town Council committee, and I am suggesting that we only deal with Dawlish Town Council land. That is my amendment. So
your amendment is that that we only hold this event based on the skate park.
Yeah.
Is there a seconder for that, please?
You've already had a second, I believe, which was Councillor Lowther.
Councillor Lowther, sorry. Those in favour of the amendment, please. Will you show your hands? 1, 2, 3. That leaves 1, 2, 3, 4.
You must ask for, Chair, you must ask for 4, and obviously any abstentions as well.
Yes, I was just counting first. So could you raise your hands again if you're in favour of the amendment, please? 1, 2, 3. Okay. 3 in favour. Those against the amendment, raise your hands, please. 1, 2, 3. 3 against. Any abstentions? 1 abstention. So it's a tie.
Chairman, I'm not sure I registered whether you voted yourself.
Me? I haven't yet, no. I hold a casting vote, do I?
No, but you haven't voted in the, if I may, you haven't voted on the original vote.
The original...
Unless you're choosing not to.
No, as I understood it, we vote on the amendments first and then the proposal.
Yes, sorry, Chairman, what I'm referring to is you've just taken the vote on the amendment, but you yourself haven't voted on the amendment yet.
I vote in favour of the amendments.
Right. So in that case, then it's my understanding that the vote is 4 in favour of the amendment and 3 against.
And 1 abstention.
And 1 abstention. So therefore, the amendment is carried.
Thank you.
And now that forms part of the substantive motion that you now vote on again.
So this is the original proposal.
With the caveat that it only takes place at the skate park.
Right. So we have the proposal that the street art event takes place, but with the amendment that it's only at this stage on the skate park itself. Those in favour, please. That's carried. And I'm sure it's going to be a very good event, Councillor Foden. You're very good at organising these things. Just as a by-the-by, I believe there was a competition on the lawn a few years back where these big notice boards came in for competitions. And that sounded like a good idea for some time as well. Anyway, if you're all happy with that, we go on to the last item, as I understand it, which is item 13, which again is to consider whether representation should be made to Timbridge District Council regards the unauthorised use of the car park. This is at Dawlish Warren. You will be aware there have been quite a lot of complaints about that. Right, so we open that for discussion. Who would like to say something on that? Councillor Wrigley.
Come through as a request from the local police that we look at restrictions that may be put in place on parts of the car park to prevent, not only if we can, or to hold back the areas that the boy racers use to race around in certain areas, but also I think this was after we had an incident with some campers, some camper vans who were there overnight and left a very bad sort of mess behind them. I think this was asking about whether certain areas of the car park could be gated for certain times and whether those gates could be closed, and asking TDC to look into various possibilities to do that, if I have that correct.
Councillor Main first, I think, then Councillor Prowse. Councillor Main?
I live on the Warren, so I'm aware of all the noise and the abuse that the car parks get. And yes, anything that can be done to stop the boy racers at night and to stop people camping because they come down and it's a free holiday. There are gates on certain parts of the Warren car park, but I don't think they can actually be used as such. I think it's not going to be an easy fix, but I think we need to do something. They were coming from as far afield as Torquay because this car park was such a lovely area to do wheel spins on. So I think we need to do something. It's not too bad at the moment, but as soon as it goes a bit quieter, another month or so, I think they'll be back out of the woodwork.
Sorry, we have a guest councillor to speak, but could I let Councillor Prowse speak first, then I'll come to you, Councillor Petherick.
Unmute me. Oh, thank you. This is a problem, well, for as long as I can remember, and I'm certainly, I presume this year it's got worse again because of lockdown and it's somewhere to go and something to do. But I think our district councillors, if they look into the annals of TDC, will find that they have in the past several times looked at some way of locking these car parks up in the late evening or of something like this, and it's we have never yet come up with a really useful solution that does not include vast expense and somebody going out there every night and shutting it and putting chains up. But as I say, we have looked at it in the past and it is a long-term problem.
I have seen Councillor Main, however, we have a guest councillor and I will ask if you are happy for us to suspend standing orders for Councillor Linda Petherick to comment on this. Can you raise your hands if you're happy to suspend standing orders? Right, I think that's the majority, thank you. Yes, Councillor Petherick.
I have spoken and written to the officer concerned at Teambridge, and he has asked me to leave it with him. He's speaking to the car park officer and the police, and they're going to have a look into what's happened, because it was reported to me by 2 or 3 people. But we've also talked about the possibility of cameras either end of the tunnel to see if they can get the registration numbers as they go through. But I will follow it up, but it is already being looked at by Timbridge District Council.
That's very good to hear. Have you finished now? Right, can you show hands please if you're happy for me to reinstate standing orders? Thank you. Yes, Councillor Main.
think one fix that's never been done to the car parks is maybe some lighting, because it's such a little dark hole down here that people go down there and they ferret away and do exactly what they want. If the lighting was good, I know it's not, maybe it's not the right eco way to go about things, but if the lighting was good, it would solve quite a lot of the problems. I do know residents that actually park their car in the car park to stop the boy racers from getting out, and they were told off by the police. So, you know, it's not an easy fix.
Councillor Wrigley.
I acknowledge this is a long-standing problem, and I acknowledge that things have been done before to try to fix it. I think Councillor Main's idea of lights is a good one to add to the list of things to ask Teambridge to look at. There are now solar-powered lights that will simply sit on areas that will come on, that will switch on by movement sensors, and that's always a good thing to stop nefarious activity in those sorts of areas. I think that's a good thing to do, and I thank Councillor Petherick for her action to take this to Teambridge, but I think we should still write as a council to Teambridge to add our support for actions and to ask them to look at the various options for gating, for cameras, for lights, to see if there is anything that they can do to respond.
So is that a proposal that this council makes presentations to Teambridge District Council? Oh.
Yes, it is a proposal that we do that.
I'll come to you now, Councillor Prowse. Is someone going to second that we make a presentation? Councillor Foden. We can go into the details in a minute. Councillor Prowse, before this goes further, what would you like to say? You're muted.
I don't do the muting. Angie's learned how to switch me off so that I don't speak. Now, I was just going to ask our district councillors if we still had a car park committee at Teambridge, because I know Councillor Bullivant was the chairman of that committee, and these were obviously things that wouldn't at one time would have come up there. I just wondered if it still existed. It was just a general inquiry.
Chairman, if I could just quickly interrupt, I think Councillor Prowse is referring to the car park review group at Teambridge. It wasn't a committee.
Oh, well, the review group.
Yeah.
I wondered if it was an ongoing review. It was never given a life. I just wondered if it still existed.
I see, I haven't forgotten the proposal, Councillor Wrigley. I see Councillor Main wishes to add something.
There can't be gates put onto the car parks because it's needed at all times for emergency access. So really the options are lighting or patrols. I think gates would get thrown straight out if we suggested putting those on.
Right, Councillor Wrigley.
Sorry, I was going to respond to Councillor Prowse. I understand that the car park review group does still meet. I'm not sure this would fall into their remit, but then that would be up to Teambridge to determine rather than us, I guess. I think in terms of gates, I don't think it was a suggestion that the entire car park be gated, but just sections of it be shut off or shuttable off, so that you could put signs up saying these gates may be closed in the middle of the night, so if you park the other side of it, well, that's your lookout. That sort of idea. So more of a deterrent rather than a necessarily actually having to close them every single night. If you had people there, you could close those gates. If the police were down there, if we had a problem with boy racers, we could close the gates. It could be a useful thing, was the suggestion. This wasn't my suggestion. It came from the local police who were asking if we could ask to do something about it.
As I understand it, Councillor Wrigley, your proposal is that we make a representation from the Town Council to Teambridge District Council about the problems. Does that mean that we wish to list these suggestions, including, it's been mentioned, cameras, gates, lights, whatever?
I think it would be helpful to say, you know, is there any option to use any of these things to help the situation? Yes.
Have you got that, Angie?
Yes, Chair. Can I just clarify, we're talking about the inner car park or both?
That's the point. Which car park?
Both.
Both. Councillor
Both.
Councillor Lowther?
Muted.
Oh, you're all right
now. I thought the inner car park was gated.
I believe that's just at the far end where the extra car park joins the nature reserve.
Yeah, there's car park, but it's a small car park area.
So
there's a gate on the inner car park. Yes.
Yeah.
Not on the. So if you think about it, you go under the bridge. You've got the roundabout. There's a car park immediately to your left. There's nothing there at all. The second section further on, I think, can be gated off.
Yeah.
So does your proposal, Councillor Wrigley, include both the inner and the outer car park? That's the first point.
I will go with Councillor Main's local knowledge and say, let's ask them to look at both.
And we have a list of suggestions which we'd like them to consider. Does anyone want to add any other suggestions for Councillor Wrigley to consider? No? So a seconder, please, for Councillor Wrigley's proposal. Councillor Foden. All in favour of that we make this representation of this proposal? That's carried. As I understand it, we don't have a part 2. So thank you very much. Councillor, are you waving goodbye, or do you want to say something, Councillor Taylor?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just wanted to be clear with regard to public participation. I understand that the member of public did want to speak about an item that wasn't on the agenda. As I understand it, it is at your discretion, of course, but members of the public will be given an opportunity to discuss town council activities not on the current agenda after the close of the meeting. And I was wondering whether Mrs. Swift would be allowed to speak.
And since we finished early, before the 9 o'clock watershed, yes, we will close the meeting now at 20:04.